Guys, FSD may be coming to Europe sooner than you think. Well, maybe not soon enough. Well, maybe not at all. That's what we're trying to figure out. I've got my buddy Kees here from Amsterdam who's going to help us. This is part two. There is part one. Who knows? Maybe we'll remember to put a link in the corner or the description. That sometimes gets overlooked, but you can find it on the channel. We are talking about FSD in Europe. We've already discussed where we've gotten to so far, the road that's brought us to where we are today, which is testing, which is regulatory frameworks in process. The next thing we're going to be talking about is how it's all going to play out from here, hopefully. And we will have a quick discussion about brand damage. Maybe we'll start with that because it's probably going to go quick. And that's what we'll discuss. I'm Brian. Welcome to Future Aza. Why don't we just hit on brand damage real quick? Is it bad? Are people mad at Tesla? Are people mad at Elon? What's the feeling on the ground in Europe?
We are led to believe that there is significant brand damage. Well, we've seen a big decline in sales since like first quarter of this year, and there the anti-Elon sentiment is
Hmm.
there. Even so, that like I work for a company called Mr. Green, and we are a Tesla leasing company. And I have done a pilot where, with influencers and media people, we would give them a car in return for content. A lot of people that like aspire a television career actually canceled at the last moment because of
Wow.
Elon. And whenever like something gets in the news and they've seen it at the evening news, watch the television with their wives or partners, and the next day we get an email, "Hey, I would like to hand in my car," and then we are gonna say, "Yes, that would cost you this and this and this," and then when it's gonna cost money, I think the morality goes to the background a little bit, but there are some social justice warriors and high moral people that did actually return the vehicle. So kudos to them. So like if you really have that belief, then follow through and be a big man or a big lady.
Well,
Uh,
that's the
but
reality. When Tesla had big price drops 2, 3 years ago, there were a lot of people I saw on Reddit where Tesla's never been popular who said, "I hate the guy, but 5 grand off. I mean, that's pretty compelling. I would actually consider it now." So if you're yeah, if you're willing to put your money where your mouth is, I certainly have more respect for you. But are there other factors outside of the brand itself that are impacting Tesla sales? I know I saw someone saying, "Oh my gosh, look at all these cars that are being returned that are now available secondhand." And someone pointed out, right, but this is the normal lease return cycle. And that's when all these cars would be coming back and hitting the secondary market. It doesn't necessarily mean people are dumping them. It means leases have ended. Um, are we seeing
yeah,
other factors
exactly.
like the Model 3 now costs 10% more than it did a year ago due to tariffs, or some outside factor that would make Tesla have a competitive disadvantage over another brand?
No, they actually have a competitive advantage over the other brands because they have a factory in Berlin, as everyone knows. So I think around 95% of the whole supply chain in Europe is in Europe. So they're not impacted by the tariffs. Actually, the prices come down with 1,000 in a couple months after I bought mine.
Of course.
So that's a bummer, but it happens to the best of us, I guess. But what's funny to see, like I've dove into the numbers a little while ago, and what you see is like the loss of market share from Tesla. It all went to Volkswagen and Audi, and Audi, of course, has the e-tron models, and Volkswagen has the wonderful, lovely ID models. That if you want to have a software update, you're going to go back to the dealership, dealership, and then plug in a USB. They could have also chosen a floppy drive, but
Well, I mean,
apparently
why not?
they went for the USB.
A
um,
zip drive.
but yeah,
I
those were
can't even find zip
yeah.
disk. What are you talking about?
No.
Um,
But yeah, like they had those cars put in like at parking lots of dealerships, and with huge discounts, people bought those. And you're completely right regarding like that 5 year leasing cycle.
mhm.
But we've seen that with the Model S. We have seen that with the Mitsubishi Outlander plug-in hybrid. Used car sales, like sales prices, went hugely down. Same goes for Model 3s. I believe they are going to go up again a little bit, and it's like now big supply and not a lot of demand. And the price difference with a new one is almost negligible if you look at like leasing rates. But still, like they're selling like hotcakes. But the media wants us to believe something else.
Well, if I had a comment this morning saying, well, if Tesla's so good, why is Cybertruck have why was it outsold by the Lightning? And what I said is the Lightning is being sold at a loss. The Lightning does not. I'd be very curious to see how much a Ford Lightning would cost if not only was it not being sold at a loss, but if it was being sold at a 10 or 20% margin like Tesla does. Ford can afford to sell some of their cars at a loss while making a fortune on their dyno burners. Um, pu-
But not for
Pure
long.
battery electric vehicle makers do not have that luxury. They do not have the ability to tap into that. So,
And we've even seen it with BYD lately, right? In the last week, we've seen a decline in share prices. But also, if you look at their sales, the purely battery electric sales aren't like they're good if you compare to other BEV sales, but they're still selling cars at a loss and being heavily subsidized by the Chinese government. So um, Tesla is still the only one with like a big chunk of free operating cash
mhm,
flow and like healthy margins.
yes, and Tesla's margins are, let's be honest, the envy of the industry. I know
Yep.
Mercedes had a very good quarter. Uh, who is it? Ferrari or Lamborghini? I think it's Ferrari that routinely gets very
Yeah,
good
Ferrari.
margins, 20% plus. But that's an outlier, and it's not on very high volume, though the average selling price is fairly high. And if you look, by the way, Ferraris are not hand built anymore. They have an assembly line. They have a real factory really churning out cars, which is fascinating. Okay, so that's enough on that topic. In the comments, guys, you can tell us what you think on that. But we've got to talk about the road forward for FSD in Europe. What happens next?
$1 million question there,
Right. Well,
Brian.
my first question would be, do people want it?
People are dying to have it, and it's a sentiment that I've noticed on my X feed, or like interacting with my followers. People throughout Europe that are following the space closely, or even not so closely, uh, they've been wanting it since FSD Beta came out in the US, and it looked very promising. But I think with the most recent developments, by the time it gets fully regulated and allowed, we're gonna have unsupervised already. And what they're actually doing over here is they're making this DCAS regulation that we've discussed in part one, where the driver is still responsible, but you can make use of like autonomous features. But they're splitting it to ADAS and ADS, and ADS is automated or autonomous driving systems, depending on which system you're looking at. And the timelines and the deliverables are pretty much the same. So, um, yeah, I'm very curious about the first draft proposal of the ADS regulation for that's set for September 2026, I think. But a draft proposal usually takes an additional 2 years to become like proper approved legislation. We've seen that the same in a similar fashion with the DCAS. But the European Union also made an like AI Act or a proposal of an AI Act in 2021 already, and just recently in late January, Ursula von der Leyen, that's the president of the European Commission, she put forward the action plan. She called it, very original name, with 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 5 pillars, and one of those 5 pillars is to propel the European automotive industry forward into the age of automation and AI. Um, but I have a question: are those automated vehicles in the room with us right
Right,
now? No, they aren't.
right, right.
So a lot of talk, and yeah,
Right.
nothing much
Well,
happened.
sometimes laws are very late to react. If you look at how late it was that the US banned email spam, it wasn't until the members of Congress themselves were finally of an age where they had to deal with their own email. Laws are often very slow to catch up with the technology. And of course, then once in a while, you get laws that are so far out ahead of it that it doesn't make sense. If it is approved, if one system of autonomy is approved, does that framework extend to all systems of autonomy? Does that mean that BYD or Huawei or Mercedes or everybody can jump in?
Yes, if they decide to like abide by or comply with regulation, they can release it to their customers. And I do believe like the um, the steps to get there matter really much because if we wait for the UNECE, this bunch of like laggard, conservative, and scared people actually, um, they are going to make the rules for automotive manufacturers or software manufacturers. That actually hinders progress. But if we follow this exemption path, and Tesla can prove, or any other OEM for that matter, they can prove that the system is as safe as a human and why the current set of regulation or expected regulation wouldn't apply or wouldn't need to apply to them, they could actually help shape regulation. Because if they have like a minimum viable product that works, why then make regulation that make it work less? So like it is an interactive process. So that's why I'm still like uh, hoping for Tesla to be to get that approval under that exemptionary rule, because it would mean the world to regulations here in Europe, but also worldwide.
Well, we found a man who can juggle very well, but we're only going to let him juggle with one hand. I mean, he can do it. It's just not the same. Have you had a chance to experience full self driving?
Yes, but a big, big while ago. In November, October 2022, I went to the United States and I actually, Matt Smith gave me his car for a week to drive. And he had FSD beta on it back then. And it was actually 10.69, but I don't know which specific version, subversion of it that I had. And I got to experience it in the Ann Arbor region, so where Dirty Tesla drives around as well. And it's quite funny to see like the same stuff of videos that I've been watching for like crazy, because that's mainly all I do is watch FSD videos. Well, not so much anymore because it's getting pretty boring to look at. Uh, that's how good it is. But back then, still, it amazed me how well it did, and also how terrible it was at sometimes.
Some of the mistakes were
But yeah, I
weird.
had to
Were weird. You would
really
watch it and
weird.
you go,
I've
well, you
yeah. So
nailed
I
that
was
one, but this is where you struggled. Oh, okay.
yes. So there's two situations that I still remember quite vividly. Is like you have a lot of suburbs. Like you don't really have that here in Europe, but you have the outskirts of the city has suburbs, like with big roads, like 2 or 3 lane roads in either direction, and then you make a right turn into the neighborhood. And there was just after you make a right turn, there was this UPS truck parked, and it was the fall, so the leaves all over, like a big piles of leaves that were actually on top of the road
Oh.
markings. And FSD just managed to just drive around it with a lot of conviction, and just it did it. And I tried to replicate it, and I drove around like blocks chasing this UPS truck, but didn't get didn't get the chance to replicate it, so it's not caught on video. But there it was like it was perfect, and also in some parking lots, I thought, wow, you're really doing well. But when I was driving on the interstate from Detroit to Chicago, well, for the full 4 hours, I barely had to touch the steering wheel, and it was actually quite boring. But what it did at some points is it just decided to do a random lane change
Yeah.
with
No
nobody in front of
reason.
me.
No
Nobody.
reason. Yeah. What are we doing? I don't know. I just kind of feel like being in the left lane for a bit. Okay. Yeah. If I was in an Uber, I wouldn't question the driver. I would assume that they know what they're doing.
He knows.
But
Mhm.
that's pretty fun. Worth noting that Matt Smith is one of our featured speakers at the Tesla Michigan meetup, which is he'll be here. He'll be on a panel with Bradford Ferguson and Larry Goldberg and someone else. I don't recall. But tickets on sale now, teslamichigan.org. Join us, won't you? Pretty please do. We've got bills to pay and we got to get them paid. So tickets are how we do that. And I'm looking forward to you getting a chance to come back and experience version 13 because on version 11, I despised it. I would not use it. I let my subscription lapse. I did not renew it until version 12 came out. And on version 12, I was hopeful, but on version 13, I don't even think about it. I just turn it on and use it. I got a text this morning from a friend of mine who has a 2024 25 model 24 Model 3 performance, new hardware. And he said, yeah, it's gotten so good that I no longer think about it. I just use it. It's just driving manually now seems a little weird and quaint.
Funny how fast it goes, right?
And that's the big thing I keep trying to explain to people is when this works, it's unstoppable. As soon as it is unsupervised and safer than a human, it's over because it's only going to get safer from there. It's only going to get smoother and more comfortable from there. And while your little country and wherever may say, well, you know what, we're going to just not approve it. That's fine. You can do that. There are countries that are frequently the last one on board, but it will reach a point where the outcry will be so substantial that people just say, wait, why are we the only people left who have to drive ourselves?
Yeah, and you're also missing out like on a ginormous potential of revenue generation and GDP growth. And the European Union and hasn't been doing that well in regarding trade and development since like in the last 30 years. They've been more busy regulating. There's a huge potential for at least the robotaxi sphere, like the taxi industry. It's going to be disrupted insanely, but also like package delivery. Your car could act as a hub while you're on a holiday, and you can use your like the applications are endless almost.
Really almost endless. Anything that has to move now becomes part of your car's conversation. I wish to go to a good example I saw is when you go river rafting. Wouldn't it be nice if your car could meet you at the bottom? Yes, yes, awesome,
Awesome.
perfect. Um, wouldn't it be great if when you're moving, your car could move itself, so you don't have to pay a firm to move your car? That's crazy.
If you want to go mountain biking or like somewhere, and you need to drive there with your car with the bike on top of it, like it could just drive along with you and pick you up at the
Yeah,
end. Like it's gonna save so much
yeah.
time.
And, by the way, when it picks you up at the bottom of the hill, its state of charge is higher than when you got out of the car. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
yeah. I try to I try to explain this to people. Like there's two things. I've never woken up to my gasoline car with a full tank of
never,
gas just overnight.
never.
And I've also never driven down a hill with a gasoline car and it filled up my gas tank.
Yes, never. I did see a funny one. Somebody posted their efficiency for their most recent drive, and it was so awful. Everyone was like, "What on earth did you do?" And it was somewhere in Europe. He raced up a switchback just as, it was like part of I think it was part of an organized event. It was basically Pikes Peak, but in Europe. And it's okay. Because I mean, he
Hmm.
burnt through like a third of his charge in like 14 minutes or something ridiculous. Yeah, but then he got a whole lot of it back on the way down, which is
When I go skiing in the mountains, I actually never charge it to over 90% because otherwise you don't have
right,
regen.
right. So, guys, in the comments, what did we miss? What did we misunderstand? If you have big questions, please ask them. And if you have even bigger questions, come to Michigan. Kees is almost certainly going to be there. We're going to apply copious amounts of peer pressure to get him to join us. And that'll be a lot of fun. You can ask him all your questions. Uh, and the neat thing is at these events, and I'm sure you saw this in Austria when we did the takeover last year, is the people who come to these events have amazing questions. They have deep, insightful questions, the kind of things that shows that they watch a lot of these videos. And it's fascinating. And
Yes.
if you have a spouse who is sick of you talking about Tesla the way grandparents get sick of the kid talking about dinosaurs, come join us at the Nerd Fest. We will nerd out together. This is our people. Everybody else, like, subscribe. Please do subscribe. Check, make sure you are still subscribed if you think you are, because sometimes YouTube will unsubscribe you, which drives me insane. And everybody else, stay tuned, stay juicy, and I cannot wait to hear from you, clever robots, when your car is driving you around on its own.